Right. Okay. Thank you very much indeed. I don't promise to speak quite as fast as Rachel or Lou. 10 minutes. Obviously, a lot of things to say, so people are very engaged in this. I'm just going to give you a little bit of a case study. This is a very personal expression. This is about my experience of flipping a Common Core course. I don't claim any sort of great skill or mastery over the flipped classroom, but this is my journey, and maybe it helps you. My CC course, Designs on the Future, very typical humanities course. It's about sustainable development. It was a lecture course. I've been running it for 6 or 7 years, 120 students. It's a very, very standard thing. The motivations for me wanting to change from a lecture-based to another format was really about frustration with the lack of engagement with the audience. I'm talking, they're listening, and that seemed to be about it. I was frustrated with it, they were frustrated with it, the SETLs had flatlined, and I was also inspired by what we do in Design Studio in architecture, and also what I see happening in the primary and secondary schools, and the skill that the teachers there have in engaging students. And I'm thinking, I'm missing a few tricks here. As part of the process, I actually recorded all of my lectures from the previous 2 years, first as Panopto captures, and then as video captures as we have today. And I have these as a record of what not to do and how boring it can be in class. So I appreciate your attendance here. I also appreciate very much the Common Core Committee for allowing me to experiment with this, where I have no real skill or experience or background in it. Traditionally, it was a 2-hour lecture and a 1-hour tutorial. I created this structure myself, 1 hour of online activity before class, and then a 2-hour mass workshop format with no tutorials. The essential difference between these two is the interaction between the teacher and the student. In the lecture, I'm not interacting with you guys. I'm talking, you're listening, that's about it. In the tutorial, well, it's the tutor who's doing the interacting. I'm not there. So it's understandable that the students don't really see me as anything other than a talking head. We used edX as a platform for this course, simply because Telly told me to use edX. I did make a change in pedagogical approach. It used to be a lecture course talking about sustainable principles, and I was just delivering a lot of content. In the whole process of flipping, I had this idea that I needed not to talk about sustainable principles, but about how people are using sustainable principles, how they're making arguments within this very complex situation. So we looked at the form of argumentation. Are people writing books? Are they making videos? Are they doing lectures? Rather than just the content itself. And that was a very important thing for me. This is what you do to make an online video. You go and sit in a green box. There's one upstairs, there's one further down the corridor. And you sit and you lecture to a television. And you have your PowerPoint slides on the television, and they give you a technician who sits behind the television and plays on his computer or on his phone just to recreate the classroom setting. And you sit there and talk to yourself for hours on end, which is great fun. It's not difficult. It's very easy. It is time-consuming, though. Editing 90-minute lectures down into 8 or 10-minute short videos is a real discipline, and it is really good for you to really think, what is important in what I am saying? In the 90 minutes discussion, what are the 8 or 10 minutes worth of content that I really need to put out there? Very simple green room videos, PowerPoint slides, there's no outside footage. Telly did all the editing, although I halfway through I bought all the stuff, the computer and the software, so that I could get involved in it. I make a small point at the bottom here. It's different for humanities. Sciences, maths course, where you're learning specific things, may be a different format from a humanities course where I am trying to develop an argument. So it's a much longer exercise in terms of my making a point. Ensuring online participation. Okay, we use video analytics, we use questions and tools, and I'm working with Michael Botello on his prototype tool for getting students engaged in the online activities. I spoke to the students about, do you do this? Do you watch the videos? Initially, no, the response was quite low. But I use a lot of peer pressure in class. I work in small groups, and I get the students to lead discussions based on the videos. If they haven't watched the videos, they look pretty stupid. They don't do that more than once or twice. I run pop quizzes. I say to the students, do you like the pop quizzes, which are really just testing to see whether... And they say no, but we want them, because we want everybody to participate. We want everybody to watch the videos. If I watch the video, I want to make sure everybody else is watching the videos. Please, can we have more pop quizzes, even though we don't like them? Counterintuitive. Okay, what happens in class? It's constant activities, very short activities. Nothing is more than 20 minutes long. It's very dynamic. It's very small groups. I work in groups of 3. I have tables with 2 groups, so there may be 6 at a table. It's physically very dynamic. They have to keep moving. They have to get up and post things on walls. They have to go and search things. They have to go and talk to other people. It's all problem-based. It's all scenarios, sorting games, everything else. And very often they're learning skills that they need to do the assignments. Many of the activities, as mentioned before, internet-based. So if they're doing a word sorting game, they have to sort the pile of words into different columns based on a particular scenario. At the end of that, they take a photograph of it, they upload it to Moodle or edX, and then we can compare as part of a classroom discussion. They like being able to use their equipment in class. This is just an example. This is actually an example from a class that Gavin Coates and myself ran in parallel. This is another CCT. This is a gallery review. The students stick their assignments, their coursework on the wall, and then they go around and vote for each other's work, just like an art gallery. You put the little yellow dots, the orange dots, and then we have a discussion based on that. They really like this sort of looking at each other's work. That's very important to them. As I say, the advocacy is a very important part of this course. So, for instance, I have a number of reading responses that they have to do. The first one is a written reading response. The second one they do as an audio response. The third one is a video response. The fourth one is a response as an infographic. So they're doing the same thing, but in many different ways. And these are skills that they need to do for their final project. They make beautiful little videos. These are really crude videos, but as a way of advocating and making an argument within the sustainable discussion. They really enjoy making these videos. I also post quite a lot of their coursework online. We have a course publication. It's now an online publication. So again, they can see each other's work and they can learn from it. It's anonymous, but there's a certain voyeurism in looking at each other's productions. I asked them at the end of the year which of the activities they liked, which they didn't like. I have 20, 25 different activities I run in class. As I say, it's very high intensity, it's very quick, but I got them to vote on it. They like the ones where they are interacting with each other, the sharing activities. They like the ones which have physical movement, where they're actually moving around the class and posting things on the wall. They like the ones where they have to use their mobile phones or their computers. Not because they enjoy using that, it's because they get distracted by other people watching football or playing games on their phones, and they want to make sure everybody is participating in class. We're very lucky to have a very large, flat, flexible space in the Knowles building. And you can see this is in the course of one morning. I can adapt it to any shape or any form I like. This is unusual. This is probably one of only 2 or 3 such spaces that I have control over in Hong Kong U. I wish there were many more. Here's an example of, again, a voting gallery review. The theoretical basis, I'm no educational expert, but the theories that appeal to me, there's a lot of intercultural group work. It's a CCC class, it's a very mixed background. The blended learning that somebody mentioned before, allowing students to learn in different ways at different paces because of the variety of activities in class. The physical activation, this interplay between doing and thinking. I think is extremely important, which is why you guys are not learning anything today, because you're all sitting and just watching and listening to me. If I could get you up and get you running around, maybe... no, let's not go there. Okay, the student-teacher interaction is the most important thing. Within the course of one classroom session, I have a meaningful discussion with each and every student. I think this is extremely important. I can move around the class, I can talk to each class, each group, and I can have a discussion, and they speak to me, and they know my name, I know their name. That, I think, is why, when we look at the metrics for the evaluations, the student evaluations jumped 10 points. Both the course evaluations and the teacher effectiveness, which was the happiest day I've had for a long time. This is last slide. Okay, a GPA jumped a quarter of a point. If you know your GPAs, that's a hell of a jump. That's a lot of improvement in the student scores. The engagement, the participation in class, up to about 90% attendance throughout the entire course. So I was delighted with that. And finally, my key metric in all of this is happiness. I'm happier, they're happier. And I think, don't measure anything else, just measure the response of the students. And the students in my class, they said in their evaluations, we really enjoyed the class. We enjoyed being active, we enjoyed being engaged, and feeling that we weren't wasting our time. And I take that as a key takeaway. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.